Okay.
And welcome back to the TV show. And then there were two Rhea Hughes. I'm Jay Black, joined by Rhea Hughes. Angelo Cataldi taking a vacation for the first time. He seemed to indicate ever this was his first vacation.
Well, no, he would take vacations, but it would torture everybody because he would torture me about keeping Al in line. He would torture Gail but so this is his actual first vacation where he's just truly on vacation.
He deserves it.
Yes.
He puts in. One of the things I always say, and I can talk nice about him because he's not here. I got to do a ton of radio in my time as a comedian. I still do. Like you
Yes.
go into Des Moines and they're like, you're gonna go talk to the number 2 afternoon man in all of the Des Moines Metro, and you're like, fantastic! I can't wait for this 75th Market Titan. And you go in and all of them fly by the seat of their pants. They're
Yep.
all very lazy. They just and listen, if you're a radio guy, you might not be lazy. I'm just saying, in my experience, it's a lot of people going 2 minutes before the show. So what is it you do? All right,
Yeah. Who are you?
right. It's just Angelo had pads filled with what he was going to talk about every day. The man worked super hard at his job and deserves a break. So he's not here. It's just me and Rhea. That's okay. We're still going to talk TV because we still love it.
Yes.
And something happened this week, Rhea, that was at the sort of the nexus
Yes.
of TV and pop culture and sports. And there's been a lot of talk about it. If you don't know who Taylor Swift is, welcome to planet Earth. Let me explain
Yes.
to you. So
Even my 84-year-old mother knows who Taylor Swift is. Okay.
Right. Yeah. We drink water here and we listen to Taylor Swift. Those are the two things you need to know. As the father of 2 girls, there's a lot of Taylor Swift in my house. I've gotten to know her. I love Taylor Swift, not just as a recording artist. I think she is one of the smartest people around. She's a fantastic businesswoman. This woman took a teeny bopper career and turned it into a multi-billion-dollar empire. I think
Yeah,
she's
just to let you know, like a little background. So I started at WIP as a producer in 91. I left for about a year and a half because they wouldn't put me on air. This was the old regime, very, very old, Big B days, unless I had on-air experience. So I left for a year and a half and went to the country station, WXTU.
okay.
So I got to see the start of Leanne Rhymes. I knew, met her as a 13-year-old,
Right.
but I became a fan of country music. And so I know that Taylor Swift went around to every place in Nashville handing in tapes, because that was where her start
Right.
before she made the correct veer into pop music. So I remember her start, as a 15, 16-year-old.
Yeah, and just knew how to handle her career. The thing that really impressed me about Taylor Swift was when she couldn't get the rights to her tapes, her master tapes for her first 5 albums. She said, okay, and did her own versions of them.
Yes.
The Taylor's version, which the other versions are now basically useless. So instead of taking the money from Taylor and selling back her masters, these guys got outsmarted by
Zero.
they get nothing because no Taylor fans ever going to listen to the regular version. They're only going to listen to Taylor's version. Something that, in the last 75 years of pop music, no one has figured out to do. Like when Paul McCartney couldn't get the Beatles rights back, he didn't re-record the Beatles. There's no Paul's version of a long
do it. Yes.
road. Yeah. I mean, they could have if they wanted to. Only Taylor was smart enough and had the wherewithal. All I'm saying about this is I really like Taylor Swift. She is dating on the and I don't even know if they're dating. They've gone on some dates. The Kansas City Chief tight end. Is it Travis Kelce? Am I getting that right?
Travis Kelce. It actually kind of broke on our show like 2 weeks ago because every Wednesday we have Jason Kelce on, obviously, Philadelphia Eagles, his brother. And Joe DeCamera asked him about it. Just a funny thing, like, hey, this is before she showed up at the first Chiefs game. And he goes, oh, yeah, they're together. They're tired. But then he mumbled at the end, oh, I'm just kidding. I don't really know anything that's going on. But all we heard was that they were a couple.
Right.
We got, for our little radio station, because of the Swifties, 5 million hits.
Wow. Wow.
And we were just like, and we're going, but the thing is, we didn't hear it, but then, it all came out. So yeah, I know what you're going to talk about, her appearance at the games.
So it all comes together. She, was at the Chiefs game 2 weeks ago, brought a lot of attention. Then it was announced that she was going to be at the Jets game, which it wasn't a surprise. People knew that it was coming. Yeah. And I wrote to you last night. It got the highest rating of any regular season game this year.
Did you see the numbers on female viewers?
I didn't. I didn't actually see that.
2 million. 2 million female viewers added to their numbers, which is why you saw the NFL. The NFL is nothing if not, let's figure out how to make money. They're incredible. As good as Taylor is, they're just as good as well.
Yeah.
They were showing her. They really wanted her permission, I think, to play her music in and out of bumps, but I don't think she gave it to them. But yeah, so not only that, 2 million. Travis Kelce's jersey sales have jumped 400%.
And I saw a lot of people are taking his number and getting the Swifty put on the back instead of Kelce, which is just awesome. So I guess what I wanted to ask about this is, does this, in your mind, grow the sport? Because, there's a lot of old school, and I don't want to call them gross misogynist monster people, but there's a lot of gross misogynist monster people out there whose initial reaction to this is, oh, I don't want girls watching this. Or, I don't know if you've seen the TikTok trend where women are filming their husbands and going that Taylor's really putting Travis Kelce on the map because no one knew.
Oh my God, that must be hysterical.
And just to see the guys kind of turn slowly,
lose their minds.
Yeah. What do you mean? He won a Super Bowl, and it's like, two Super Bowls. No one knew who he was. I mean, what's going on here? But the online reaction, especially, I think, because Travis Kelce has come out in favor of vaccines and other things that you should be in favor of.
Aaron Rodgers took a shot at him yesterday and called him Mr. Pfizer. I'm going, you know what, Aaron, shut up. I mean, it's like,
listen, I'm vaccinated and my Achilles is just fine. Just saying.
Listen, I got the flu and the COVID shot 2 weeks ago, and my Wi-Fi works so much better in the house now. It's phenomenal. I recommend it.
Yeah. So, all of that aside, it seems like Travis Kelce, because of his perceived political situation and with him with Taylor, there's this backlash that seems to be happening against her coming to the show. And I just wanted to get your opinion. Is it bad for the sport, good for the sport, neutral for the sport? I mean, the NFL can basically withstand anything.
They can. Here's what there's nothing. I think the NFL is Teflon, but here's where I will say is, I don't think it's ever a bad thing to introduce somebody to your sport. So my brother has lived with me the past, I want to say, how old's my son? Past 10 years, and has helped me with my son. I obviously leave at 3:00 in the morning, so he would get Clark up to school. Now he takes the subway and he's totally fine, and everything's cool. But when he was young, and he is an artist, he's never been into sports ever in his life, and he's 10 years older than me. But he now watches games because it's obviously what I do for a living.
Right.
And he's now not as much baseball, but football. I mean, he loves it now. And this was a guy who went 55 years with never caring one iota about the sport. And now he watches it and he knows the game a little bit. So to me, if out of those 2 million female viewers, you get 500,000 to go, this looks kind of fun.
Yeah.
I might watch it. Maybe out of those 500,000, they've had, boyfriends or husbands or brothers or fathers who want them to watch it with them. And they watch. My opinion is always more people at the party is a good thing.
Yeah, agreed. And, we grew up, we're Gen X, you and me. So we remember when, if a band got popular, there was that subset of people that was like, I liked them back. I hate these new fans. I liked them back in the day.
How Nickelback sold 1 billion albums when no one apparently likes them.
Right. Just saying. That's a good point. Well, I'm talking about when Nirvana got popular, there's people walking around I liked them when no one liked them. Great. Don't you want more people to like them? If you like it, Don't you want to grow the fan base?
I do have a conspiracy theory though. So here's my one take is I see some people out there going, there's not a couple, it's it's a PR thing, which listen, we know celebrities do all the time.
Sure.
They have contracts. I know the NFL would love to have Taylor Swift do their halftime. It would blow number. And the NFL, I don't know if a lot of people know this, the NFL does not pay performers.
No, you got to.
And they just last year had Rihanna, right?
Yep.
Didn't she do last year? So they don't pay. I guarantee you, they're praying, number one, that this relationship lasts through the Super Bowl,
right,
and that the Kansas City Chiefs make it to the Super Bowl. But if they could, they would. I'm telling you, that would be the one artist they would pay, because the numbers worldwide would be astronomical.
I agree 100%. The Super Bowl is usually bigger than the artist. This would be the one time and the one artist, with the possible exception of maybe like one of those K-pop bands that I know nothing about.
Exactly. We don't know their names, but this is Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift, as you said, your grandmother knows who Taylor Swift is. Your kids know who Taylor Swift is. It would bump the Super Bowl a significant amount, and she should get paid for it.
I think real quick numbers before I know we got to move on.
Yeah.
So Travis Kelce makes around 14 million a year,
right,
which is like one of the highest paid players. She makes 13 million a concert.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting.
And I'm going to see her movie next week. It is, and I don't know if we've talked about this on air. It is not being distributed by a distributor. Usually when you make a movie, what you do is you sell your movie to a distributor, and then the distributor takes all the risk. So like, let's say I make a movie, I spend $5 million on it, and then a distributor goes, I think I can make a lot of money with your movie. Yeah. I'll give you $8 million for it.
Sure.
Right? And then I take that profit and maybe I get a little percentage of the theater, but then the distributor takes it out to all the theaters. And if it makes $120 million, the distributor gets all that money because they took all that risk. Taylor is so big. She just said, she called the theaters herself and said, I'm making a movie. Do you want it? And all the theaters were like, sure. Yeah, let's do it. No distributor.
Yes.
Every cent of that ticket price goes directly into Taylor's pocket. She has the potential, Rhea, if this movie makes $100 million, to be the single highest paid actress or person who produced a movie in the history of movies. On top of that,
I want to date her. Okay, I just want to say it just right now.
We're just putting it out there, Jay. It happened on the podcast. If you're interested, Taylor, Rhea, just reach out through our web. We'll get you in touch with Rhea. All right, so let's talk about America's favorite superstar is Taylor Swift. America's favorite podcast segment is the British segment. What do we got this week, Rhea?
All right, so I got a really interesting thing. It literally, I've watched a bunch. I've kind of like not been happy with some of the choices that I've been looking for on BritBox and Acorn. Something just dropped the other day, so I was fascinated by it. It just dropped on BritBox, which you can get via Prime. It's called The Hunt for Raoul Mount. And what it is, it's a 3-episode series that deals with the largest manhunt ever in the history of England. And it happened in 2010. Here was the story. So this guy was in prison for assaulting one of his children. He had a girlfriend, an ex-girlfriend, that he started grooming. He was like 12 years older than her when she was like 16. So they had a baby together. He goes into jail for hitting one of his other kids. She wants nothing to do with him. Seems like a really nice young woman. Her name's Samantha. So he keeps calling her. I'm getting out of prison next week. We're getting the family back together. But she had started dating this really nice karate instructor, Christopher Brown. And so she finally decides, I'm going to go to prison on Family Day and try to reason with the psychopath, which never works out.
I just want to say, I get a stomach ache when I have to tell Angelo we're going to change the date on something.
Time. Yes, exactly.
I got to tell my wife, hey, listen, I'm not going to be able to make that party. I got to work. The idea of driving to Family Day to tell your sociopath ex-boyfriend that it's not going to work out, I just that gives me stomach ache just thinking about it.
She did a really tragic thing, though. This is what's the shame about it all. So she goes there and she's just telling him, I don't want to be with you anymore. And he's like, you have a new boyfriend. You know, he pretty much figures that out.
Right.
And she lies to him because she thinks this is going to keep him away from her and their child,
Right.
that he's a cop,
Ah.
which sets off, he has decided now he's getting out of prison. So he gets out of prison. The prison guard who was always guarding the family visits goes to the warden and says, listen, this guy's going to hurt her. He's made threats about her. I've heard it. The guy who shared his cell. So they literally, he goes, all right, we'll let the Northumbria police know where this woman lives, that this is a serious threat and she needs protection.
Right.
Except that it gets there at 6 p.m. on a Friday and everybody's off for the weekend. So it never gets to anybody.
Yeah.
She's at her mom's house, walks out with the new boyfriend and herself, and the ex-boyfriend guns him down, kills him, kills the new boyfriend, shoots her. She's very seriously injured, doesn't die. But the ex-boyfriend then proceeds to call to the police, several phone calls. The manhunt went on for 7 days a week. That because she was dating a cop, or a copper, as they like to call them in England,
Right.
he was going to murder any cop he came across. He did shoot and kill a cop. I mean, he did shoot and maimed a cop, blinded him so badly, the guy committed suicide 2 years later.
Ugh.
So it's 3 episodes of basically the manhunt for this guy. And you see it, you do really see it from the victim's point of view. A lot of these shows do it from, you know, the killer's point of view.
Right.
And when the mom and sister of the boyfriend who got gunned down find out, like, I get they were really upset to find out she lied that he was a cop. But I'm like, this guy was going to kill him regardless.
Yeah.
If
And
he
by the
was a
way,
Sunday school teacher, it didn't matter. He was dating his ex-girlfriend and he's a
yeah.
sociopath. So I kind of felt bad. Like, it was like, I felt bad that the cop who got shot and blinded got shot because this guy thought she was dating a cop. But this, you know, young 23-year-old lying, thinking, oh, if I say I'm dating a cop, he'll leave me alone.
Sure.
It's hard for me to blame her. And so
I don't
they
blame her
really,
one bit. No, I mean,
yeah, but I understand the mother going, if she hadn't said that,
yeah.
maybe my son wouldn't have gotten killed. But anyway, it's only 3 episodes. It's kind of a standard police procedural, but they also deal with it. So it's 2010 and message boards, like we see Twitter, we see all the vile toxicness
Sure.
of Twitter. There were people who believed that this guy was a hero because he was going after cops. And
Ah.
it was
Yeah.
so it's just it's really interesting. I don't want to say I enjoyed it because it was sad,
Right.
but it was very well done. So it's called The Hunt for Raoul Moat. It deals with, like I said, it wound up being the largest manhunt in the history of England to get
And
this guy.
what's it on? Is on BritBox, you said?
It's on BritBox via Prime.
BritBox via Prime. Yeah, you know, when you say it's when you try to say you like something that's sad, it always feels like when somebody posts online, like, my father died today, I feel really bad, and you go, do I like this? I don't. I
Yeah,
want
I like that. Do I do the thumbs up? Do I
Yeah.
like what, you know?
I want it, like,
Yeah.
there should be one where it's like, where it's just you're making it like a I'm so sorry face. Yeah.
Sorry. Yes,
Yeah.
it needs to be a sorry emoji. Exactly.
And did you watch anything with Clark this week for Team
I
Corner?
did. So I'm not a Marvel person. I know you kind of into the Marvel stuff.
I
He
do,
loves
yeah.
it. So it's called, I don't know if you've seen it, Cloak and Dagger.
I read the comic books back in the old days. I never watched the TV
So
series.
here's the thing is it's different. Clark gave it a 6 out of 10. I kind of liked it. It's a little different from the comic. In the TV adaptation, it's 2 teenagers, Ty and Tandy.
Right.
Ty is the kid who comes from the privileged background, and Tandy is the loner, kind of grifter kind of thing. So it turns out there's a backstory between these two. When they were children, there was an explosion on an oil rig. They both wound up underwater. One was driving with their father. One was the brother got killed by a bad cop. But something happened under the water where they got these superpowers.
Sure.
But the superpowers only work when they're together.
I see.
So so they kind of changed a little bit. So they meet. What I will say is the chemistry between these 2 actors. It's Aubrey Joseph is Ty. Olivia Holt is Tandy. they both got their starts. They're super young kids
Right.
on Broadway. So these are really good actors. The chemistry is good. I like the story because it brings into the oil company where the rig exploded. I love any story that has a backstory that happened like 10 years ago, and it bring like I'm a cold case kind of
Gotcha.
aficionado.
So as you slowly put it together over the course of the series, that sort of
Yeah,
stuff. I
I like that. I like that kind of stuff. So it, as somebody who's, if a parents watch, there is, some sexual content, but like not that they show sex, but it's teenagers. So
right. Yeah.
so I'd say maybe not under 14, 15. But I liked it. I have to say I kind of liked it for not being a Marvel person. I liked it.
Okay, Cloak and Dagger. That's on Disney Plus, I imagine.
It's on Hulu. It's on
Hulu.
Hulu.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I watched a movie this week that I would like. It just debuted on Showtime, and I would like to give it a lot of stars, but I cannot. It's called The Wrath of Becky. It is
Okay.
about basically a young cheerleader type whose dad is killed by neo-Nazis, and then
Some light viewing.
light viewing. Well,
Yes.
it's done as a comedy action movie. It's like in that old style Tarantino type
Yes.
thing.
Gotcha. Okay.
Where it's like the hyper violence is supposed to be funny, and we're supposed to sort of brush by the backstory without really worrying
Kind
about
of like Deadpool. Like
like
Deadpool,
Deadpool
there's a
a
lot
little
of
bit. Yeah.
violence, but it's funny.
It's it's supposed to be. The big star in it is Sean William Scott, who you might remember as
Yep.
Stifler
Yeah,
from
I know Stifler. Yeah,
American Pie
everybody knows
movies.
Stifler.
And here's the thing. I think Rhea, and the long and short of it is, I've made too many low budget movies at this point to not see all the tricks that they're employing. And when you do a low budget movie, the hard thing to do is action, because action costs money. You need to have
Sure.
people on set, you need special effects. So what you do is you promise a lot of action, but
Yeah.
then you mostly just do talking, and you try to make the talking seem like this real heightened Shakespearean level of like big stuff is going to happen.
And it didn't.
But when you get to the action, it's very light. So in any event, it's a couple of years later, some neo-Nazis are in her town for a rally, and she spills hot coffee on one of them on purpose because she's working in a diner. And then the neo-Nazis try to take revenge on her, and then she's going to take revenge on the neo-Nazis. She says, I'm going to kill all of you. So she goes and kills all of them. They don't do a very good job as explaining why she has the capacity to kill these people. They don't do a very good job showing you how the deaths occur. They don't do a good job of setting up any kind of plot that you find interesting. If I wasn't on a plane, I would have walked out, although I almost considered it. And I'm mad because I originally thought it was going to be great because of it had a really good trailer. But it's just one of those things. And as one low budget filmmaker to another, I want to say to the people, I'm sorry I didn't like your movie. You know, I know you sold it to Showtime, though. You're not getting paid by the stream. So I'm not hurting you by saying if you don't watch it, everything will be okay. So not a great movie. Wrath of Becky was right up my alley. I wrote a movie very similar to this called The Bus Driver in 2012. And it was about a group of high school kids running into meth dealers and having to kill them. And yeah, listen, I've done a lot of stuff you wouldn't like, Rhea. I've done a lot of stuff.
That's okay.
So yeah, I can't recommend it, but if you have nothing to do, check it out. But I think avoiding it would probably be for the best. And
thank you. I'll avoid it.
last thing I wanted to talk about is yesterday I got to watch my beloved Seth Meyers do a closer look. And here's the interesting thing. He's back from the writer's strike. And the closer look was 30 minutes. It was basically 3/4 of the whole show, of his entire show, was this segment that he does, basically just making fun of politics. And I had read that
I heard he made fun of Philadelphia in it.
What did he make fun of? I'm trying.
So I don't know. So I looked it up when you said you wanted to talk about it. I wanted to see, and it just said in his, he made fun of Philadelphia, and I'm like, okay. I listen. I know we're easy to make fun of, but I always like to know why we're being made fun of.
It didn't stand out to me, so it was probably
Okay, so it's probably just a throwaway line.
Yeah. But he did a long one, and the rumor was that he wanted to make that at least a once a week kind of thing, where the whole show was basically this long comedy piece about politics. And it got me to thinking, like, that kind of upends the entire idea of a talk show, right? Because most talk shows are talking to celebrities. But then I was thinking, I don't really ever watch those segments ever, even on YouTube. Like, Arnold Schwarzenegger was on Jimmy Kimmel for his first show back. Then I watched a little bit of it, but then it was like, it's talk show banter. It's the stuff that no one really, like, there's no insight that happens on these shows because they're there to promote something. So it's all just sort of light canned anecdotes. And I was just wondering, if Seth Meyers got rid of the guest segment, would that matter? I know you don't really watch the show, but does that matter to you? Do you watch these shows for guest interviews ever?
To me, it really depends on the guest. We have guests on WIP all the time. Guests can make or break a segment. You have a great guest who's funny and can witty and can talk off the top of the head, and you have a really good host who can interview them. When you have those two things together, it can be, on a talk show, a TV talk show, can be 5 to 10 minutes of magic. But if you don't have it, like if they're not like, a home run, what's the point of doing it? Because you can kind of get that stuff anywhere. Like, oh my God, Julia Roberts has a film to promote. She's gonna do like rounds with everybody. They're never, unless you have really good people interviewing them, and the actor or actress or the star is into it. When they're into it, they're fun.
Right.
They are fun. But when they're not, it's like it's slogging through. And I'd rather hear Seth Meyers, who I think is really bright and really funny. I'd rather him do that long form stuff.
Yeah, I would agree. I was thinking about it, and I was like, other than Bill Hader on Conan doing his impressions, I don't really seek out those interviews. So yeah, I would be all right if they switch that around. Last thing I want to talk about before we get out of here, Rhea, you are the queen goddess of my family. Rhea helped me out in getting me in contact with somebody at the Phillies so that I could take my daughter to the game. My 8-year-old is a sports nut, has nothing to do with Taylor. She just loves sports. And she got to go to the Phillies game last night. And what an experience. She caught, she didn't catch a ball. They handed her a ball during batting practice. She got to be on the Jumbotron twice. She got to see a win.
She was on twice, and she saw that game, which was awesome.
A great game. And, we had talked about it briefly before the show, and the experience of being in that stadium with the pitch clock, especially because the game was over in 2 hours and 50 minutes, which in any other world, it would have been like we would have been leaving the park at 4 a.m.
Yes.
The place was vibrating, and you were saying it looks so good on TV. It actually affects who signs with us. Is that true?
Oh yeah. So Trey Turner, when he signed his the $300 million that they gave him was probably a really good incentive too.
Sure. Yeah.
But he talked about it. The Phillies, Rob Manfred, the commissioner, has talked about the Phillies really drove playoff ratings last year, and rival managers would tell Rob Thompson, like after the season, and going, that place just looks insane. And so you experienced it. It's from before the game, during the game, it never ended. What I love about it the most is, so your daughter's 8.
Yes.
So, and I shift back to what we started with the Taylor thing. If they got out of those 2 million extra female viewers, a quarter of those became a fan of football, your daughter, you better be prepared. Yeah. She's going to want to go to a lot of Phillies games because
she already asked about season tickets.
Yeah, she had the time, and you could do you could do 17 game plans. You don't have to do a whole plan. You got her the Phillies and baseball got your daughter last night.
They did. Yep, 100%. She has, she already had a lot of shirts and stuff, but she got shirts last night. She got her hat. She was wearing her whole Phillies thing.
But
her
that
life,
cost you a lot last night.
it was a very expensive evening, but it was
Yes.
worth it because she was just delighted.
But she's now, because when that happens when you're 8,
Yeah,
like when I was 9, I went to Eagles training camp. It was either at Widener or Westchester, whatever. I got Bill Bergey's autograph. I was a Bill Bergey fan for life because he's the only one who gave me an autograph.
sure.
And like when I got to meet him in this business, I was like, you don't understand. Like anything you did, I was your fan for life. So she's now a diehard Phillies fan. And that's what's so, to me, always introducing people to sports, what we do. I introduce people to British shows they might never watch. You and Angelo, you guys push Succession so much.
Yeah.
People watch it. It's like just exposing people to different things is a good thing.
It very much is. And there's nothing like seeing a little girl, like just sort of her eyes just, kept turning to me to ask about rules. And I kept going, ask
and
your
you
mom.
had no
I don't
idea.
know. Yeah. The balls are good and
let me text Rhea.
Yeah, exactly. Here, I'll put you on FaceTime with Rhea. She'll tell you.
Yeah.
But it was just amazing.
Great.
So
that's awesome.
for that. And
let's thank John Weber from the Phillies, who's just an awesome guy.
He just was really facilitated. So I sent a whole bunch of pictures to them of my little daughter enjoying themselves. So but thank you to the Phillies. Thank you to Rhea. Hopefully Angelo is having the time of his life. He deserves it. And if you enjoy our show, please let somebody know. Special thanks to Jared Clapper, who is handling all our social media and helping us produce the show. And let somebody know about the TV show. Don't tell them about Succession. Tell them about the TV show so that they listen and watch, and we get people and keep expanding the show. So, Rhea, thank you.
Jay, we went a little bit long, but we can't get yelled at because Angelo's not here.
No one yells at us. Yes. Guys, thank you so much. And we'll talk to you next week.